It's all it does is fucking cry and lay next to the dog.
Dog likes it.
Yeah. All right. Ready?
Mhm.
And welcome back to the Babble Boys podcast. I'm James, joined as always with my good buddy Jeff. Jeff, how we doing, man?
We're going insane. Send the stray jacket because daddy daycare has been in session for too long. Ready to get back to work.
So, Daddy Daycare could probably use some free government money.
Oh yeah, stimulus so my kids can pay it back when they're my age. Yeah, I mean, I would absolutely love to reap the benefits of that.
Well, you don't have a choice.
No, I never checked the box. I'm gonna get it whether I want it or not.
Yeah. Whether you need it or not, you're getting some monetized debt of future generations.
Yes, the peasants love the free money.
They do. So, I'm sure you've heard about this 2K. So a little bit of background. Trump came up with the idea, surprisingly,
Right.
to the detriment of the establishment Republicans. I'm sure they were like, what the hell is this guy doing? So he tweeted about the 2K. Basically, all the Democrats were like, hell yeah, let's do it. An amendment to the NDAA was passed the House unanimously, went to the Senate, and was going to be passed as an amendment. McConnell blocked it. And so
Wouldn't have made it through anyways.
probably not. So as an amendment, it would have had to have had a unanimous vote. And I'm sure someone would have said no,
I think I think it has to have a unanimous vote to skip the line and be voted on.
to skip the
But like,
procedure, yeah.
but like, how can you do that when the full bill hasn't passed yet? From my understanding, right? Because isn't it attached to the defense spending bill?
Yeah, so they would skip the procedure to have the floor vote, and it would just
Right.
go straight as an amendment. And then they still have to vote on the bill that Trump vetoed.
Because bills have a process. Like they have to go through a committee. They finalize them, then they submit them to the speaker or the majority leader, and then he's in control of the calendar, Mitch McConnell. So he would have said, "Okay, we'll vote on it this day," but he didn't want it skipping the whole process because there's going to be strings attached, as you can already guess.
Of course. So I think that Trump really shot himself in the foot with this one, which, anytime the guy opens his mouth, he shoots himself in some degree, right? So he tweeted,
Somebody, yeah.
yeah, so he tweeted that it would be political suicide for them to not pass the 2K, and they should also add, and now I'm paraphrasing, he said it in his own way, but we should have some kind of election integrity bill and repeal of Section 230. And he said that this is what he wanted, and that's why he vetoed the NDAA. So today, 1 hour ago, McConnell has his own bill now. And so included in this bill are those two things we just mentioned, the election integrity committee, which I'm not sure what they're going to do. It just sounds like a huge waste of money.
It is.
The repeal of Section 230 and the 2K checks. So,
I mean, yeah, and I don't really understand what the election integrity unit's going to do. I mean, is there any evidence to support it? I mean, depends who you ask, but they're just they're trying really hard right now.
so Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell on Wednesday introduced his own version of a bill to increase the $600 stimulus checks from the coronavirus relief package to $2,000. Also included two major priorities for President Trump. The legislation would also repeal Section 230, the controversial liability protection for online platforms, and create a committee on the Election Assistance Commission to study election integrity. McConnell set the table for a bill to address these three issues in his floor remarks Tuesday. A little quote here. So he goes on to remark about how important they are. But the remarks were not a firm promise that any of these issues would receive a vote or that McConnell would push particularly hard for them. and McConnell's bill itself is unlikely to gain the support of 60 senators that would be needed to break a filibuster. Some Republicans, especially the handful have already said they favor $2,000 stimulus checks, would likely back the bill, but most Democrats probably will not vote for it due to the other issues McConnell's bill addresses. What McConnell's bill would do, however, is allow GOP senators who want to be able to say they voted for the $2,000 stimulus checks to do so while protecting priorities of the majority of his caucus, which has previously opposed the checks. So, obviously, what we just heard, I mean, at least to me, it's just a way to stall until January 5th for the Georgia runoff election.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like political war. Like, they just want to set each other up. Like, oh, you don't care about the people. You didn't vote for 2000. And they're like, well, yeah, I did, and I want this. The only thing I can say that I mean is decent about it is the fact that there's not a bunch of money going to other countries. Like in the stimulus bill, you have the Smithsonian getting almost as much as the American people. They're not even fucking open for business.
Yeah.
Kennedy Center, not open for business.
Yeah.
Gender studies in Pakistan. They still stone women there, by the way.
Yeah. The refurbishing of a boat in Sri Lanka was another one.
Yeah. Egypt got some. Democracy in Venezuela. Like, what it is not 90% of this bill is for these congressmen and congress-ladies or congresswomen. They're pet projects and
lobbyists.
Yeah, and foreign aid. It doesn't go to the people, but we have to pay for it. It's bullshit. It should piss you off. It pisses me off.
Well, I think the good thing about them fucking up and attaching those two bills together is they just expose themselves, because everybody is like, wait a second, are you shitting me?
Like, how's the Smithsonian get 60% of what the American people get? What the fuck am I going to do with $600?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, nowadays, what does that even get you? You're not paying rent with that. You're not paying your mortgage with that.
You pay a car payment, I guess.
Yeah.
Some insurance. I mean, but like, are you like, not like it? I don't. It's infuriating that like they could even come to the table and say this is probably a good idea.
Well, I mean, I think that I think it's a good thing that people are learning to just trust the government again.
I think the peasants don't care as long as they get money, and I mean by peasants, I mean obviously I'm saying that term loosely, but I believe that there's a certain political side here that really, really cares about the money to the people, and I think that everybody should be infuriated. Like, it's a slap in the face. Here, pay for gender studies in Pakistan. Give the Smithsonian $1 billion. I think that's fucking ridiculous.
It's definitely ridiculous. It doesn't make any. I mean, I'm sure someone could explain, the long-term benefit of giving these countries money, but I would be hard-pressed to say that whatever reason you're going to give me overrides the state of America at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, but like when you're giving $150 million to Venezuela for democracy projects, who does that even go to?
Well, I mean, you got to remember, it's
a socialist regime.
Yeah, it's the same concept that we use, I mean, around the world with our military. It's how we exert influence.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We just pay everyone.
That's why we're on like 40 different countries we have presence in.
Yeah, and so the counter argument to that is if we don't give them money, China's going to give them money. And China's going to increase their influence. It's a shitty game that we're playing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean it's a diplomacy game. That's all it is. I mean, it's a constant thing. I was watching the Mandalorian series, which I finished, and like sometimes I feel like they were making direct references about the Empire and the United States government. Like, like we're the Empire, they'd be like, we're here to make it better, we're fighting terrorism. Well, we say that too, but I don't know.
I mean it's a philosophical concept in its entirety if you think about it. I mean, how do we know what's good for other people? We don't even know what's good for ourselves half the time. So when we're going around the world saying we know what's better for you, and if you don't want democracy, we're just going to shoot you.
Yeah, it's a whole philosophical conversation within itself that you could debate for days. So, we would call the Afghanis terrorists, and I'm sure that they would call us terrorists too.
Well, yeah,
You know,
exactly.
when you drone strike a wedding and kill kids, I mean, you're kind of terrorist yourself.
Yeah, and it again, it goes into we think we know what is good for other people.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
either you like that, or we're gonna smoke your whole family from a drone in the sky. It's that
which was
simple.
like one of the big things about having a big, strong central government when our country was founded was that reason. Like blanket approaches don't work. Like everybody has their own needs. Like people in South Dakota don't need the same as people in Georgia.
Well, yeah, and now that you mentioned that, that's the same with the stimulus checks. The counter argument is, why are states that are not locked down at all funding states that are locked down? So
Right,
the
right,
money
exactly.
the money should be coming from the state that's locked
Or
down.
$15 minimum wage would not do anything in New York City,
No.
but it would drive a lot of small businesses in rural South Carolina out of business
Hmm.
because at $15 an hour, you like the cost of living. You're making a decent amount of money. Eh, that's what I'm saying. Like the centralized approach. Like we need a federal mask mandate. No, we don't. Let the states handle it. You know.
Yeah, I actually had this um, discussion with MJ last night when I was over at my dad's, and we were talking about Trump's response to the coronavirus. I know we're way off topic, but we were
Yeah,
talking
whatever.
about the response, the federal response, and she mentioned that the country should have been locked down sooner, or longer. We should have had a longer shutdown, and you know, maybe that would have worked.
Maybe.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that it wouldn't have worked. My counter argument to that was the president doesn't have that power, and he should never have that power. And it doesn't matter if there's a coronavirus and people are going to die. If you give the president that kind of power, you ain't getting that power back.
No, and I mean you're an individual. You have the right to choose if you want to wear a mask
Hmm.
and go into a store. That's your right. I mean, granted, and it's also the private business's right to enforce it or not. I mean, that's
Correct.
kind of how our system works, and I think that overall, it's better that way because, um, blanket approaches like that don't work. And I mean, I don't even know if it would work. I mean, most people who got it never left their house anyways. They were exposed to it via secondary contact or whatever from somebody else that lives with them. I mean,
Hmm.
you can't just shut everything down because people are still going to have to go get food and stuff, and it's still going to get transmitted. All you're doing at that point in time, in my opinion, is prolonging the inevitable.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the states that are completely locked down and have had the hardest lockdowns, then you look at states that haven't really locked down. I mean, the data is all over the place. There's no hard set data that says lockdowns decrease cases, decrease deaths. It's not. I mean, look at New York and California. The
That's what I'm saying.
cases are skyrocketing, and they're in the strongest lockdowns of any state.
Right, I'm saying like the states who like were like the most authoritarian, I'll say, definitely were hit the hardest too. So
Yeah.
like, and I don't understand that. Like people will be like, oh well, look at the death toll in blue states. I mean, it's worth noting. So like, why is there such a big discrepancy? Why does Florida have way more confirmed cases than New York, but like a third of the death count? Like it doesn't add up. And I mean, I'm not diving into conspiracy. I'm just saying like, as I'm saying, a blanket approach is not going to work.
Yeah. I don't know.
Like $600 if you live in Los Angeles is like a fucking tank of gas,
Yeah.
to where if $600 in rural Georgia, I mean, you can pay your rent.
Yeah. I mean, we're in weird times, man. Super weird times. I don't and we got into the discussion about the vaccine, and she so MJ comes in contact with a lot of people through her job, mostly
Yeah.
old people. And she was saying, she's going to get the vaccine as soon as it's available. And I told her, I was like, she was asking me if I was going to get it. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And, she's like, well, what about, your parents? You're always around them. And I told her, I was like, as much as I'll get the vaccine at some point, but I'm not putting that in my body. When, first of all, we don't even know how long the virus survives outside of our body. We have
Right.
no idea. But somehow we have the manpower to create a vaccine that can diminish the symptoms of the virus, right? No.
That's like
No,
I was reading.
there's no way. And also, not to cut you off, if you look
No, go ahead.
if you look up all the lawsuits against Pfizer, they've paid billions of dollars in lawsuits for side effects from their own medications. This vaccine, they're not liable for any of the side effects.
Yeah, I'm not taking. I'm not going to be the guinea pig. I'm not going to be the lab rat.
If you grow a fucking arm out of your forehead,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You're just going to live with it. You can't.
Other people can take it. And I mean, I was just reading the news yesterday. There's a brand new strand of the coronavirus that like this vaccine does not protect against. That's going to be a common occurrence every couple months when it mutates. Like, what do we? I'm not getting shot in the arm with a fucking shot every 3 months because there's something new out there. I'm not.
Yeah.
Well,
but you also got to remember a lot of these people. I was reading about this the other day, especially airlines. They're thinking about requiring you to have documentation that says you were vaccinated in order to travel.
Well, there goes. They're gonna lose a fuck ton of money.
I don't know, man. A lot. I mean, if you think about it, if a lot of people are convinced to take take the vaccine. If that's the new normal, I mean, if all these businesses come out and say you can't come in unless you have paperwork that says you were vaccinated in the last 40 days or whatever.
And I mean, and technically, like when they say like you can't mandate a vaccine, the Supreme Court's already ruled on that back in the 1800s. It was a Massachusetts case, and they absolutely can make you get a vaccine. Apparently, for the health of the public or whatever their ruling was on specific. I can't remember. It was a long time ago, so I read it. But I mean, like as a school teacher, they were talking about making it mandatory too. Mm-hmm. I don't feel comfortable with that. Like I don't feel comfortable taking something that was rushed.
Exactly, and that's my point. I don't want to be sit here and be a conspiracy theorist about these vaccines, but
I'm not an anti-vaxxer.
No, you have to. So a good way to look at it is to remember that the people that made this vaccine, they're not doing it to help mankind. They're not doing it out of some drive that they have to
want to make money.
Exactly, and that's the point. You have to be careful when you get down to these mandates. These people are only in it to make money. You might have this huge humanitarian effort. You want to save the fucking planet, and then you hire Pfizer to build a vaccine that gets released based on emergency standards that they've barely even tested.
Yeah, they're doing it for money, right? I mean, it's not that hard of a concept to grasp. And I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Like, if it's proven safe, like I'll get the flu shot. I don't care. Like it's flu shot. I've gotten the anthrax. I've gotten tuberculosis tests. I mean, whatever.
Smallpox.
Yeah,
all of them.
Right. We've gotten them all. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. So, but I mean, I just don't want to take something that's rushed. And to another point, I'd like to point out is that, we all not we all, but there's a big push for, this, standardized healthcare, right? I don't see any of them coming out with a fucking vaccine though.
What do you mean?
Like Great Britain, they have, state-ran healthcare and state-ran, so that they fund all their own, they do their own research for cures and all that stuff. Well, all I'm saying is, I didn't see any nationalized healthcare come out with a vaccine.
Well, no, I mean we both know that stifles innovation.
And that's my point. This was an American company who came out with this because they were under pressure because there was 30 other fucking companies trying to come out with the vaccine too because of money, competition.
Yes.
That that's just the way it is. But we are way off topic. Oh well.
All right, my friend. So we went from stimuluses to coronavirus to lockdowns.
Vaccines.
If you're still here with us, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.